Hi, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies, and today I'm at Cape Jaffa. This is a small rural town about 4 hours south of Adelaide, about 30 minutes north of Robe. It's a beautiful town with beautiful scenery around me. Population of probably 10 people. We're here to test the difference between Skylon Paragon arrows, which are a thin arrow. They're like an X10 all carbon arrow. The Victory VAP arrows and the Victory VXT arrows. Now the difference between these are all target arrows. The Skylons are thin. Now they're all 350 spine. Skylons, I've got the stainless steel points of 120 grain. If you want to go up to 140, you need tungsten points, and tungsten are about $160 a dozen, and I'm like, can't afford that because I'm cheap. One of my viewers says, don't be cheap, Stephen. I am cheap. So basically Skylon Paragons are about $200 a dozen with, you know, the points and stuff, about $250. The Victory VAPs, which are spine aligned arrows, about $200 odd, similar sort of price, and the Victory VAP arrows, similar sort of price to the Skylon Paragons, and the Victory VXTs, which are tapered down arrows. So they start at the same thickness as a VAP, and they thin down at the back. So what I'm going to say is some people have tested these, and I've shot them through shooting machines, and have told me the results. So what they say is that the Skylon Paragons, the thin ones, same as the X10s, shoot about the same as X10s, and shooting them score-wise, they score about the same as X10s. X10s are $650 a dozen. The Skylon Paragons about $200 a dozen. Now they shot them through a shooting machine as well, and so no human contact, just shooting through a shooting machine, and they found exactly the same results, that the Skylon Paragons and X10 shot about the same. Now, well, they also compared them to carbon ones, Eastern carbon ones, and they said the Skylon was 50% better than the carbon ones. And what they found was that spine alignment was critical. This is if you're shooting without vanes. So what they found when they shot an arrow down range and it shot high or low of the group, if they moved the nock, it could actually shoot in the middle of that group. So spine alignment they found was critical. Now I'm going to say that because Victory spine align their shafts, which is probably why you shoot better with Victories. So you can see their spine align. Now I wish I did that with my Victory VXTs, but I didn't because I wasn't thinking. I definitely did it with my Victory VAPs. Now in the testing I've done at a shooting range at 50 meters, I found I shot slightly higher scores with the VXTs than the VAPs. I'm going to say out of 720 points, they're probably worth about 10 points to me. I found the grouping just a little bit tighter, but if I shot good shots with the Victory VAPs, I found I shot really, really well with them. But I think the VXTs are slightly better. Now the Paragons are a thinner shaft, so they should theoretically shoot better in the wind compared to the VXTs or the VAPs. Now the difference between these three shafts, point weight, the VXTs have 150 grain point, so it should be better in the wind, and also it tapers down in the back, so that affects how it spines out of the bow, how much flex it's got. And the Victory VAPs have got 140 grains, and the Skylon Paragons have got 120 grains. Now I've actually shot this video before, but the sound stopped working, so I can actually tell you the results. I don't know what this end's going to be when I do it, but I'm going to tell you the Victory VAPs, the cheaper ones, actually shot the tightest group, substantially tighter than the other two. So, but that hasn't been my finding shooting at the range before. So I'm going to say a lot of this is to do with human variation. So let's shoot this again. We're going to shoot 3 arrows of each. So now the nocks I've got on these, and I'm going to say it's better to put your vanes towards the back. These are boning pin nocks, the short throat. The Australian Performance Manager, or whatever he wants to call himself, I'm not being mean by that, I don't know what he calls himself. He believes that nocks are critical and you should have a short throat. I've found no difference, and I've spoken to people from Biter about this, and they say no difference, and most of the world's top archers shoot all different nocks. So I found no difference, and he gave no account of points difference between shooting like a Biter nock and shooting an Eastern nock, or shooting the Eastern G series versus the Eastern short nocks. He just said they found they shoot better. I need to know points difference. If you shoot, you know, like out of 720, this is the point, you know, it's worth 2 points, but that sort of analysis wasn't done. You think, I'm going to say he's a doctor in physics who did his degree in arrow flight. I just expect I would see, like, you know, it's worth 2 points or 3 points, but that sort of research wasn't done. So, well, I haven't seen those results. So this one is a Skylon Paragon. I haven't found any difference in the vanes as far as helical versus straight in points. He believes that helical is better than straight. So I don't know how many points it's worth out of 720. So I've tried angled, I've tried straight, and I've tried helical, and I found all my arrows shoot about the same. So, and some of this can be wind. So Skylon Paragons are thinner, so they should be theoretically better in the wind. However, the VXTs have 150 grain points. The current Australian champion believes he shoots gold tip tours, which are the same thickness as a VAP. He shoots heavy points with them, and he believes that's actually to do with the arrow weight rather than the arrow width. So and he's done testing of X10s versus the gold tip tours, and he found the gold tips were better. So all of this gets, I think all of this gets back to the archer shooting well. So shoot well, practice a lot. But let's see how this one goes. So this is the Skylon Paragon. So I'm going to try and shoot 3 of each. Another Skylon Paragon. Now I'm going to say with that one, I aim slightly low, and I think the arrow probably went slightly low. So I'm going to get back to, and this is another Skylon Paragon, shoot good shots. There is no, you can't buy yourself points. Well, you can buy yourself points, but at the end of the day, it gets back to shooting well. As much as we want to buy ourselves points by buying better gear, shoot better shots. Now that one was a pretty decent shot. I don't know where it went. So we're going to try and grab some Victory VAPs. Now with the VAP, this one's a sport, which is the .005. I found no difference in the .005 to the .001 in accuracy. I shoot them interchangeably. They all shoot fine, so. Now I've had my Victory VAPs for about 2 years now. These are the same Victory VAPs I've had for 2 years, and they've been really durable. I've had great success with them. Robust, I've shot heaps of pins off, heaps of nocks off. They're really good, affordable arrows. This one's that one's got no knock on it, so we're not going to shoot that one. Okay, so this one's the VAP with the Elite, in the Elite. Short nocks as well. The Skylon Paragons are slightly shorter than both the others, because you'll see my arrows are slightly long on the rest. I think that was a pretty decent shot. I don't know where it went, but so now we're going to try the VXTs. So the VXTs are retail for about $3.50 a dozen. Then you need the points. The points are probably 30. They come with pins. So more expensive, almost twice the price of the other arrows. Actually, that's a Skylon Paragon, so that's hopeless. We've already shot through those, so let's grab the VXTs. They've got a different weave in them. You'll see the weave there. It's like looks like a checker plate. It's a different design. It's meant to react quicker, so straighten up quicker than the VAP. These also have flex vanes on, so they have a flex 187 versus a Boning Air. Now what's interesting, so I think these arrows all weigh about the same, but they seem to hit about the same spot. And from memory, the difference in between the VXTs and my VAP at 15 meters was one was hitting the 10 and one was hitting the 9. One was slightly low. I think the VAPs were low, even though the VXTs had the heavier point by 10 grains, so that's not what you expect. And just one more VXT. Now the VXTs, I assume from memory, I've been shooting for about 6 months. Really robust. Had good results with them. They shoot way better than I do. And saying that, I'm always going to remember the story of Rick McKinney from 1980, who shot aluminium arrows in Canberra at the World Championship with a wooden bow, so wooden limb bow, 5-glass limbs with wood limbs inside. Shot 1350, 1360 for a men's feeder with a recurve. Amazing score with aluminium arrows. So yeah, so it always gets back to the archer and how much they practice. Like this bow I'm shooting is the Super XL, which is the long version. I really like it, and I wish I had shot better scores with this bow than my other bows. I find I'm a little bit steadier with this bow, and I'm probably not practicing as much as I was, but my scores are the same with this bow as my other bows. I wish I shot better, but I think I'll shoot better with this bow just because it seems to be more stable for me. So that's why I'm shooting this one as opposed to the normal Super or the Perform I have. So let's go down and see which ones are better. Last time it was the VAPs, and the VXTs and the Skylons are about the same. So let's go down and see the group. Okay, so I'm down here at the target. At the moment I can't tell which one is grouped better. Now the VAPs are well grouped. So this is over 30 meters and I can get my fingers clearly around all of those. The VXTs are in a nice line up and down, good group. Skylon's there. So I'm going to say the Skylon is the biggest of the three groups, and the VXT, well, the difference in the height between the three VXTs, 3 fingers. The VAPs are probably 2.5 fingers wide in the height difference, so slightly less variation with the VAP than the VXT, but there's one out to the left. Now that's interesting. I don't know if that's what you're going to see overall, because with the VXT, the design of it is meant to come out of the bow straighten up quicker than the VAP with the design, with the tapered design and the different way they make this carbon, because it's a cross weave, so it's meant to straighten up a lot quicker than the VAP. So this is interesting. Now in the research I've done, I've shot heaps of ends comparing the VXTs to the VAPs, and I always, every end I've ever shot, the VXTs are better grouped than the VAPs, although I shoot really good scores with the VAPs. The Skylon are interesting. I think the Skylon will probably come into their own in wind with less drift, and what we're going to do is we're going to shoot some shooting ends with the Skylon Paragons at longer distance and see how they compare. Like, the grouping's good. Now, what I want to talk about with the Skylon Paragons is the current Australian female champion, won with the Skylon Paragon. She won the Australian Championship with the Skylon Paragons. So there's people shooting great scores with the Paragons. And in fact, the way I got onto the Paragons was a guy from Denmark messaged me and said, you've got to try these arrows. I love the VAPs, but the Skylons are better than the VAPs. So he said, I'll send you over some. And I was like, no, don't worry, I'll source them. So I sourced them and they've been hugely successful for me. I've had so many archers change from X10 arrows, Eastern X10s, to the Skylon Paragons, and their scores improved. So I'm going to say from everyone I've sold on the Skylon Paragons, they've been more successful. I'm going to say people have preferred the tungsten points, which are 160 a dozen, versus the stainless, which are about $20 a dozen. In all cases, people prefer the tungsten point. Now I'm going to say the reason they prefer the tungsten point, tungsten versus stainless, tungsten is half the size of stainless. So if you're fitting a tungsten point, it's going to be shorter than stainless. But I think the main reason people prefer the tungsten to the stainless is because it doesn't bend. So some people were finding the stainless, they were bending them through shooting. So when they spin their arrows, the arrow would get a wobble. And when they take the stainless point out and they fit the tungsten point, that wobble just disappeared. With the tungsten point, it's also a rounded point at the front. So I definitely found at home, when I tested the Skylon Paragons at home, I've shot about 60 arrows with them. This is at 18 meters I've shot them. This is the longest I've shot here, about 35. At 18 meters, I shot just as well as Skylons as I have any other arrow. I shot all 10s, 2 9s. That's I have about 60 arrows at 18 meters an indoor face. But they penetrate the target much more than the normal VAPs and VXTs because they're thinner and sharper points, so they actually go straight through the target butt. So with that, I suppose what that kind of tells you is you can shoot any arrow, just shoot regularly and keep shooting and have fun. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Check out the different arrows, and when you change your gear, make sure you're used to the scores you're shooting and test the arrows and see if the new ones actually improve your scores, or if changing nocks improves your scores, or changing the vanes improves your scores, or changing from straight to helical improves your scores. Because it's all very well that, you know, the guy down the club says try this. You know, try and get some sort of measure about how much it improved his scores from changing from one thing to another. So I'm Stephen Hand from Cape Jaffa. Thanks for watching.